Okay, folks, so this is Blood Basics Part 2. Today we are talking about genotypes and phenotypes. This deals with genetics. So we talked earlier about how you have DNA in your cells that controls what kind of proteins your body makes. Well, the part of the DNA that we look at and we call letters here is called your genotype. So go ahead and sort of color that in, because it will help you to remember it later. So genotypes are the letters of the alleles for your blood type. So notice the genotypes here, you can have, because you have two copies of your, you have two copies of an allele for every gene. So we're going to talk about blood type specifically here. And the reason is because blood type is really important when we start talking about DNA profiling. So the phenotype is the actual blood type you have. So if you have type A blood, you are either going to be AO or AA. Now, you may not know which one you are, but you may know that you're type A blood. The same for B, could be BO or BB. This is because the O is recessive. O is recessive, meaning it hides, right? So the only time that you're going to see your O is when you have two of them. Like over here, we've got O-type blood has two O's. That means that's the only time you see O-type blood, is because the O is recessive. It hides behind the A or the B. And A and B are both dominant. So A and B are dominant, which basically means that they always show up. They always show. So the recessive always hides unless you have two of them, and the dominant always shows. If there's a dominant, that's what's going to show up. If you have two dominants together like this, A and B, then your blood type would be AB. You're going to see both the A and the B. So one of the things that we're going to cover is also going to be about Punnett squares. Okay, so one of the ways that we can track the possibility of blood types and how it works is to build what are called Punnett squares. And you can write this on the blank side, the back of the previous tab, so that your two things are together. So these are Punnett squares. So what happens is you draw a square and you divide it into four little sections. You've got one parent up here on top. We'll call that parent 1 right there. And if parent 1 will have two alleles, they can pass on one of their two alleles to their child. Parent 2 is going to be over here, and they are also going to pass on two alleles to their child. So let's say we have mom is parent 2, and she is AO. And we've got dad here, who is parent 1, and he's also AO. Now, you just bring your letters down to see the possibilities here. So in this case, I like to always start with the down. So that puts an A there and an A there. It puts an O here and an O here. Then we can swap over to the other side. These come across, so that would be an A, and this would be an A, and that would be an O, and that would be an O. So as you can see, you now have different options for the kids. So AA equals 25%, right? Because there's only one AA. But AO equals 50% possibility because there's two of them. And OO equals 25% again. So These are the genotypes. The phenotypes would be what their blood actually is. So in this case, if they're AA, what's their blood type? Yeah, it's going to be A. This is the phenotype. And if they're AO, that's right, they're also A. And the reason is because if that A, because it's dominant, shows up at all, that's their blood type. The only other option then would be O-type blood, where you've got two recessives. So let's try one more here. Let's try an AB. So we'll draw another Punnett square. And this time, Dad is going to be AB. And Mom here, we will have her be OO. So you start with moving either across or down. It doesn't matter which one you do first. I usually go down first, but that's me. It's up to you, and it's not going to matter which way you do it. So there's AA down. The B's also come down. Then we go across, and we've got O's across and O's across. So in this case, what are the options for these kids? So again, these are the genotypes. They're the letters. So we have AO, and there's 2 out of 4. So that's 50%. And their blood type will be what? That's right, that will be A is their phenotype. Phenotype. A blood type. So then you've got the other option here, which is BO, which is also 2 out of 4, and also 50%, which means what kind of blood do they have? That's right, they have B blood. And the reason they would have B blood is because the B is dominant, the O is recessive, it hides. So you get the idea. This is a quick review of Punnett squares and genotypes and phenotypes. This should help you better understand how we get blood type, which leads us into DNA fingerprinting and why that works so well.